But as you guys can probably see already, there's a bunch of folks that you know and love that will be on this show tonight. 10 more seconds, man. I'm just waiting for Streamlabs to confirm that we're live. I think we're already live, like I said, but let's just wait. There we go. Now I know we're live. So welcome to the latest episode of the Sim Standard Podcast with myself, Smitty, and our brother Azure is on tonight. Y'all know he won't go miss this one. No way. But we got a lot of special guests tonight too, man. We got the good old crew, man, from First and Framerates. You guys know him as Virtual Footballer. If you know him from way back, you might know him as Silent Gamer. We got DJ81. We got Bills. We got NY Kia in the building. And also we got Xpert, man, from Xperts Corner. Forgive me, Xpert, for forgetting the actual name of your franchise league. I know that's my bad, but he'll tell y'all that. But y'all should know everybody that I'm talking about. So what we're basically going to do, really quick, we'll let Smitty give you his quick introduction, say what's up, let Azure do the same thing, and we ain't going to waste no time. We're going to start right off with VF is going to kick it off, and we're going to talk about this whole franchise debacle, the apology, and what it all means to us. So really quick, Smitty and AZ, anything y'all want to hit on before we bring the boys on?
Yo, glad that everybody's in here. It's glad to just see that we're actually being heard finally. You know what I'm saying? Like keep that hashtag trending as long as possible. I know some people are saying just, and I'll throw this at AZ after this. I know some people are saying, oh, don't let the beta cloud what's going on and everything. The beta is literally just this weekend. It ends on what, the 5th. It ends
Right.
on Sunday at noon Eastern. So it's like it's not an incredibly long amount of time. So just, understand that the franchise mode still, it's been over 10 years. So the franchise stuff is still going to lack. And more than likely, we'll be heavily reminded at launch when the game drops that the franchise is not there. Okay. So by all means, keep this energy going through the launch and everything else. Like, things will die down, but make sure that we keep that intensity strong with that. So just throw that out there real quick. But go ahead, AZ.
Hope everybody's been well, staying safe, and taking care of themselves. Glad to be on tonight, and we did it, man. Shout out to Unique, Mazik, everybody else in the community. We at least made some waves and got their attention and got them to issue some kind of statement because they were just gonna sweep that right under the rug, obviously, with the classic franchise. But hope everybody's doing well and ready to get into the show tonight, man.
Absolutely, man. And before I bring VF and the boys on, let me set this tone. I feel like I need to because I just saw something else that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. And again, it's probably gonna get back to him. Y'all don't know. I don't care. It is what it is. I ain't taking no shot at you, homeboy. But I gotta just say this to Dubby. This ain't the time, man. Like, we don't need you to slight franchise features and things like that. Like, go ahead with that. We don't knock what y'all do. I rock with a lot of you guys. I've met you a couple times, in passing. But like I just saw right now, it's a tweet out there saying, "Oh, I hope the beta has a halftime show." This ain't the time for that. Like, why that? Why you got to do that? Is what I'm saying. Come on, man. Like I already put a tweet out early, like a couple days ago, saying, "Look, you don't. This ain't the time. We don't need the peanut gallery to just pile on for no reason." So come on with that, man. That we always try to be in unison with everybody, and it's going to take the entire community. But we don't need people poking fun at franchise just because, like you said in your tweet. I don't understand why people don't compete. Rather, compete. We compete just as hard as y'all do. We build a team same way y'all do. So don't come at what we're doing and make fun of it just because that ain't the way you rock. And you can take that however you want to take it. It's all good. But I thought I should just go ahead and start the show like that
If
because
he gets wind of that, tell him feel free to
come
join
on through,
Sim Standard Radio League and abide by the rules and see if he can swim in our fish tank.
pretty much. Pretty much. But let me get everybody on, man. Let's unmute everybody in virtual footballer VF. And by the way, man, I know I'm always calling you that. Please let us know what we should refer to you as at this point. But let me unmute everybody. So unmute yourselves, guys, and we're gonna let VF rock first and foremost. First question: how do you feel about Sean Grady's would-be apology to the community?
Hey man, what's going on? First of all, thank everybody for coming through. Also, I'm gonna give out a shameless plug, man. Listen, we just nothing but an extension of the Sim Standard podcast. So whenever y'all catching them,
Pretty
when we're
much.
on, y'all can't catch us. You can find us on iTunes and SoundCloud. So you can download the episode so you don't have to catch us live. But if you do decide to catch us live every Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Nevertheless, as far as the apology, that's PR. I'm not worrying about that. I mean, you caught backlash because you had a lot of people with blue check marks on Twitter that has verified accounts actually said something about franchise mode. It got to the point even Wendy's said something on Twitter about it. So you had no choice but to say
That was
something.
dope.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm okay with it, but to me, I feel like it's PR because you got to save face because the wrong people in their eyes, said something about the product. Now, if it was just regular old us just saying something, I think somebody said it before we started going live. I think if it was just us saying something, they would have swept it under the rug. I think Azure said that, but nevertheless. They had to save face. But as far as that go, listen, it's a step, it's a start, and hopefully we can get some headway. But another thing, and I'm not gonna waste nobody else's time. I'm gonna let the next person go. People don't understand that want to make fun of us with franchise mode and stuff. They don't realize that we just want stuff that used to be in the game. We're not asking nobody to invent the wheel. Yeah, we want some extra stuff that you see nowadays. But I remember in franchise mode, we had like basic holdouts, a real combine. We had like real progression. The owner mode actually meant something. You can, it's stuff like that that we used to have that we want back in the game. So for the most part, I think it's a legitimate complaint because some people ask for like extraordinary stuff. We just want the basic stuff that we used to have. So um, at the end of the day, I don't have no feeling about what he had to say. I mean, like I said, if it wasn't for big people with a lot of followers saying something, they probably would have just kept going saying, "Oh, we hear you, we hear you." But like I said, it's a step. I'm all for it, and I'm willing to see where it goes.
DJ, what you got, man? What are your thoughts on that? The W comment or whatever you want to do, man.
Well,
Oh, hold on,
first,
hold on, hold on, hold on,
oh,
hold on.
now
I'm
what?
sorry, DJ. I'm sorry, DJ. I ain't even said nothing about the W comment. We don't play with clowns. We don't. Look, y'all want them to come to y'all podcast. Seriously, they want them to come. I'm sorry, baby. I'll open it for you. Okay. We don't play around with people. You got people, you want them to come to your podcast and play by the rules. We don't have no rules at First and Framerates. We're a roaster. Straight up. You want to play that game, we'll play with you. So,
Oh
you can
no,
stay behind
everybody on the
you can stay
game.
behind
We
you can
talking
stay
about
behind the arcade world and go ahead and play your little side of the fence when it comes to Madden. But over here, we want real football. And if you want to test that, we'll test you. Go ahead, DJ. I'm sorry.
Well, as far as W's comment is concerned, I could care less. Um, Sean Grady is the real target here. So, as far as his comments, it's a start, but that start should have been last year when you basically went out there and said we're recommitting to franchise for Madden 20 and beyond. What's this that you're gonna reinvest into franchise based on this apology for 21 and beyond when basically you've had all this time? And I'm gonna get this out the way right out the bat. Don't blame COVID because you've been working on this game ever since it dropped. Been working on 21. It's pretty much been about what you guys have prioritized. So this prioritization of franchise being on the back end gave y'all the excuse to possibly blame COVID and everybody working from at home and whatnot. No, that's BS. So now that you basically got caught, you had to put this out. Like you guys have said, it's a PR move. And I believe actions speak louder than words.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And sorry, guys. I always like to apologize when I'm messing up with the sound. I told y'all earlier, man. I got the wave link and the whole Elgato thing, and I had the game sound loud. And I forgot I had connected OBS to game, and my bad, you guys in the chat. It should be good now. Next up is we're gonna hear from NY Kia. What are your thoughts, man, on the apology, Dubby? One of those two things there.
What is up, gentlemen?
What's
Good to
good,
be
man?
here. I look at this as this being the Madden community's Star Wars Battlefront moment. If you remember a few years back, that the Star Wars Battlefront community raised Cain. They weren't satisfied with how that game was being handled, and they rose up in force, and they got change done and got it done quickly. And what have we always spoken about for years in Madden community? The fact that we're always very fractured. We have different elements that have their own interests, and there's a lot of egos involved in both the content creator side, whether it be comp, whether it be franchise, whether it be someone who does a little bit of both, whatever. So the fact that we saw for the first time the entire Madden community come together was, I think, a really groundbreaking moment potentially. And I want to take it a little bit further back, where I think this groundswell started to come to fruition. I think it began earlier with MCS and with how Joke won that tournament. Now, I don't have any beef with the comp guys. A lot of them I banter with and watch and follow. Most of them are good people. Content guys are going to say things and create content that feeds their audience. That's just a given. But when the reaction to that, and it wasn't just reaction within the Madden community, you had mainstream corporate outlets reporting on that, ESPN, Forbes, that got the attention of a lot of people. And that didn't go away. So you had that, and then you tack on the sizzle trailer and the flat reaction to that. And then it kind of went away with the gameplay deep dive. Everyone was kind of, well, not everyone, but most people were kind of appeased from that point for a little bit. And then right back after we got the franchise blurb, that's when it all came to a head. So I think this has been a slow build, and I think it's one that is very welcome. I was really pleased to see the Madden community come together. I've never seen it like this before. The only time I've seen the Madden community come together like this was post Jacksonville. So to see that happen again, this time in a much more positive way. We were mourning a tragedy back then, but to see that come to pass and see change happen because of that was great. Now, as far as the apology goes, that's basically, there's some things in there that kind of bothered me. What bugged me about it was that it kind of seemed like he was trying to give the impression that they had held stuff back deliberately. That bothered me. We know damn well with this game shipping in 4.5, 5 weeks, that at best you might get a cosmetic change here and there to franchise mode with a patch here and there. But we're looking at 22, 23 before we see anything meaningful as far as that is concerned. So whether this momentum stays through this Madden cycle and goes on forward remains to be seen. I hope it does. It's a good sign that we finally got the attention of people that are above the dev level, and hopefully that can continue.
Well said, man. Can't agree more with that. And guys, like I said here in the chat, y'all getting a treat, man. We got our man NY Kia on camera, so y'all know it's real out here.
Yeah, you might not see this again for another 10 years.
There you go. Exclusive. Bills, man. And I skipped over Bills, guys. I went out of order. My bad, Bills. But what you got on the subject, brother?
know, man. I just look at W and I can't help but laugh. I know we're not on the First and Framerates podcast, so I gotta chill. But it's just funny. It's like
No, go
he's
ahead.
talking
Go in,
about
man. You good?
like he's talking about competing, but I mean, when you look at Mutt, like how is paying for his squad competing other than monetarily? I mean, you talk about franchise and you say you think franchise is okay, but the reason why you view is because you put more stock into the on the field gameplay than building a team. But that's what franchise is about. So I mean, if you're all about the on the field, then you can play now and be good, right? If the game is how it's supposed to be, I just hate how they have to knock our mode because they feel like mode is superior when they really don't truly understand why we feel how we feel. They never could, so it's like, why even speak on it? That's my thing. I just hate the fact that he even speaks on it. And he said stupid crap like this before, and I've kind of ignored it, but now it's like he definitely picked a great time to be the community troll, if you will, because fixed franchise mode is a hashtag now, and it's getting a lot of publicity. Kerryon Johnson, for Christ's sake, he's an NFL player. He's been flaming them the past couple months, absolutely positively flaming them. It's clearly a problem. Now, to get to that so-called apology, I mean, to me, it was more of a backhanded. I mean, I didn't hear the apology for the first. I think it was a backhanded excuse of, oh, look, we didn't tell you everything. Let's be honest, y'all were saying that to flame y'all. So I just, it's so for us. We're going to talk about this tonight, obviously. We're going to talk about a lot of solutions we could possibly come up with. But in the end, the higher ups have to want to improve franchise. It shouldn't take thousands of people in a hashtag trending for them to respond to what we've been asking for years.
Yeah, man, definitely agree with that. That last statement. It shouldn't take revolt, if you will, for them to finally say, and like you said, and I'll get into it when it's my turn. But it's some of it is PR. We all got to know that. Smitty and AZ, I'll come to you guys next. You first, Smitty. What were your thoughts, man? I mean,
just skip your boy Xpert.
Oh God, X.
It's okay.
It's
okay.
It's so many people, man.
It's so quite all right. It's quite all right. I would skip me too because I'm not gonna hold back. First off, I've had the pleasure of having W on my podcast, Xperts Corner. And y'all just have to understand he just trying to get a reaction. That's all he doing. Because he's trying to build supporters on that Twitch channel. And so he's gonna get a reaction any way he can. And I don't think he understands the franchise community like we do. This and I tweeted this earlier. This franchise community, this is not just us loading up a Madden game and playing for 45 minutes. I mean, all of us have been involved when it gets close to draft time, it gets close to building your player, you trying to figure out your game plan. Listen, sometimes it's days and days where you look up and you're thinking, dang, how am I gonna beat this team? I haven't beat this team in 2 years. I gotta figure something different. I gotta do something different. Maybe I need to move something around. It's more involved, just like those MCS guys that get in the lab and they're labbing with their partners. We're doing the same thing with our own teams. And so it's hard for some of those competitive guys to understand how much depth goes into the franchise mode. And then, the second part of that is, you got 31 other personalities in your group. And so it's not just playing a video game. I've been in the Dynasty for 6 years now. I got brothers for life. I'm talking about men that I've traveled with to go to EA Play, that we broke bread together, that when things in your personal life ain't going right, you pick up the phone and call me, or I call you. It's more than just a video game. And that's where I think some of those comp guys should understand that, because they're the same way. They have brothers in arms where they feel like that's my best friend. That's my guy I can count on. We the same way in a franchise mode. And so while we play two different modes, we have some of the same similarities. And those guys need to understand that. I rock with a lot of those Mutt guys. I follow a bunch of them. I enjoy watching them play Madden, but You know, franchise is just a different thing. And someone asked me on my Twitter today, like, what if they just put a MUT game out? And I said, listen, if Madden got rid of franchise, I would not buy Madden.
Nope.
I just wouldn't. The only reason I buy Madden is because of the franchise. Now, do I play MUT? Yes, I play MUT. But if MUT was the only thing, I would not be on Madden. You would see my jump shots going up in 2K every single day on my channel on Facebook. As far as the apology, I think Kia hit it on the head first. When they first put them patch notes out, and mind you, those were patch notes. Those were not upgrades for Madden 21. Those were patch notes for Madden 20 of things that was jacked up in Madden 20 that they're going to fix. And hopefully franchise would say, okay, that's good enough. And I think Kia hit it on the head. It's the first time that the franchise community has come together. Every single year, we see it all over the place as it gets closer and closer to release time. There's surveys out. What do you want to see in franchise? And there's 50,000 things that guys want to see. I need to see a ref on the field, or I want to see a halftime show, or there's so many different things. And it's hard to get a franchise community to come together on one thing. And I think that's what happened when they put them patch notes out. They were sitting in that office and said, listen, don't worry about this, guys. They'll argue with each other about what should be in the next Madden. And in a couple weeks, we'll put the beta out. And next thing you know, no one will remember that franchise didn't get anything. Don't worry about it. And all of a sudden, they woke up the next day like, holy crap, it's trending #1 on Twitter. Fix Madden franchise. And not just the franchise community. I mean, when you get a fast food restaurant to tweet out, fix the franchise mode in Madden, you on a different level. It's a different level. And so they went back in their office and someone held up straws and said, okay, whoever get the shortest straw, you got to put an apology video out and get this franchise community to calm down. And unfortunately, Grady was the one that pulled the short straw. And while the apology sounded great, if you was on the outside of the franchise community looking in, you was like, oh man, they really do care about those guys and they gonna take care of them. But if you inside the franchise community, that's the boy that cried wolf. It's just a different person on the video. I've heard that too many times of I'm going to fix it. I'm going to add this. Here's the biggest problem. I put a video out on the DML network about the 5 things I wanted to see in the next Madden months ago. These are all things that are in other franchise modes that belong to guess what company? EA. The same company that puts my Madden game out puts great features in a hockey game that sells 1/16 of the copies that my Madden version sells. But I can't get a coaching carousel to save my life in a Madden franchise. And that's the thing that frustrates me the most. We had head coach 09. Just take head coach 09 and put it in Madden 21 as the franchise. At least that would be a start. Take the things that you got in other games or stuff that was in Madden before that you took out and just put it back in. It's the effort that is the problem with me. Now, you're going to have those franchise guys, Sim and Smitty, y'all know this, that want 25 new things every single Madden. Listen, that's just not possible. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no.
But dang sure, give me 4 or 5 things and make me happy. Now, the other thing was the gameplay video. If the gameplay is on point and it's immaculate and the gameplay works and it's beautiful and it's not animation based and it's actually based on ratings and how you build your team, and then you add 4 or 5 things, you would never hear a word from me. I'll stand on the rooftop and shout EA, the greatest company ever created. But unfortunately, I can't get that. So, I mean, that's my thing. But, man, appreciate y'all letting me on. And I'll go mute till the next time.
Nah, man, I appreciate it too. And before I throw it to Smitty and Azure, look, you know what? I'll save it. I'll save it for my time. But let me throw it to Smitty, and then we'll bring it back around, and I'll ask you guys a different question. So yeah, Smitty, what are your reflections on the apology, the W comments, whatever you want to go into?
Man, I mean, W saying that, the thing is, I mean, I know that he liked to just stir the pot. You know what I'm saying? He all about stirring the pot. But nevertheless, there's time and a place, you know what I'm saying, for stuff. And it's like, look, franchise mode has been lacking for over a decade. And to actually see it trend and there actually be some kind of some kind of movement being made toward it, it's like it's about dang on time. So it's like to see that happen, and then you got somebody, especially the level that W is on, be like, oh, they better have this in the beta. They better have a halftime show in there. And it's like, and you got some people that are, following suit and everything, the whole Pied Piper approach. Yeah, okay, you can do that, whatever. I ain't, Now when you get now look, play in a Madden tournament and get robbed, then what? You know what I'm saying? somebody do you sideways. Oh, this is some bull. No. You're okay. You guys are playing Pokemon out there, right? That's
fluke. I got fluked.
Right. Yeah. Like, no, y'all playing Pokemon out there and everything. You want the game to feel like Blitz. You want the game to feel like Blitz, but then you want it to be authentic at the same time. No, you can't have both. It's supposed to be football. It's supposed to be legit. That's like what everybody else said. Playing leagues, whether on or offline, you grinding. Man, let me grind this out. Let me build how can I strategically get my team better? How can I do this better? How can I do that? That's the point of the mode. It's supposed to make you think about what the next move is, especially in an online, in an online league when you're playing against other users. Like, that's the intrigue. But the game has to hit first. And to see that Madden just hasn't been doing it for so long, it's unacceptable. And I mean, excuse me. And look, the Sean Grady thing, like I was saying to some of the fellas, and if you've been listening to this show, we've mentioned all these guys. And I first met Grady when me and Sim first went to the studio. I met Grady. He came up to me talking about the penalty system, and he was not the penalties. What was it? Offsetting penalties and the challenge system. And he was like, look, we see you guys' feedback. We know you guys are frustrated. Trust, we see everything you guys are saying. Like, we're going to get it done. It's just going to take us time to get it, but we are going to get it done. So when he says that, that's not me saying, all right, that means that I'm subsided and I'm chilling. It's the fact that, like I said to some of the fellas before we started, Sean is on the same level as a Clint and these other guys, even though he's a producer. Same thing with Rex. Rex had a very high position.
Real quick, let me say this because it's important if this is true. I've heard, even though you and I and Azure hasn't been down here in a while, I actually heard that Grady is now in a higher level. This is what I've heard. That he's kind of one of the mans right now. But I don't know how true that is, but let's just assume, what you said is true. But let's keep that as a side note.
Okay. I mean, if he got that juice, if he really got that juice, then that's something he got to be held accountable for either way. I mean, that there still is a level of accountability. So yeah, if he is one of those guys, then it's like you got to bring it. You know what I'm saying? And I messaged him too and everything and told him, like, listen, like, I understand the circumstance and all that stuff, but it's not about understanding the circumstance necessarily, especially at this juncture. It's about what y'all gonna do about it. What are you guys doing to walk the talk? Because we've heard the talking for too long. And I straight up told him, like, I'm tired of mentioning 2K. I'm tired of mentioning 2K5. I'm tired of mentioning old Maddens and stuff like. We're about to be, look, in a few months, we're going to see trailers and stuff like that for games that are going to drop on these consoles. I ain't trying to be up here like, man, I hope PS5 is fully backwards compatible so I can play Madden 07. Like, get the heck out of here. I'm not trying to play that. I want to play something brand spanking new that's on point. You know what I'm saying? And it's like with Madden, unfortunately, with Madden, I don't believe you. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe anything you said in that article because Andrew Wilson stood on that stage in 2013 and told us living worlds and human intelligence and true player motion and all that. He said all that. He told us we were going to get authentic football and we never got it. You know what I'm saying? You got all these old games that straight just obliterate what's in Madden today. So I get the position Grady was in, whether he's still in that position or even if it's an elevated one. nevertheless, you guys have to enable the development team, and actually let these people create. And I know, like what Xpert was hitting at, people, I mean, every day I'm getting so many mentions and all that stuff and everything, but it's mainly because I'm linked to that Deuce Douglas mock-up tweet. And it's cool because I see so many people saying hire him and hire this man and everything. And understand this. Now, look, and Mole is in here. I don't know if he's still in here or not, but this is the thing about it. Mole, even my man Searles, he works on franchise stuff. What imprint, unlike 2K, where's Mole's imprint? Mole had a reputation when he was out there like that. Where's his reputation at shown? Where's his imprint on the game? Searles, where's his imprint on the game? Let's talk about somebody a lot more prominent. The mastermind behind NFL head coach on 9, Josh Lumen. Where the heck was his imprint? You see what I'm saying? And he's gone. He left. I think he just left EA last year or something like that. So he's gone now. What about Swami? He's all about football, all about the stats and the rhymes and the reasons behind who's what and all that good stuff. Where's his imprint? There's nothing I see that screams, yo, I see why they hired Swami now because of this. Nothing. I can look at 2K. I see why they got Zara over there. I see what OG is doing over there. I see what Mike Stauffer is doing over there. I see what guy that used to be a modder. He used to do a bunch of mods on PC for 2K. He's a mastermind behind my league. Like if you're gonna bring somebody in with a reputation and you let them work, like let them freaking work. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see what Deuce Douglas has implemented into Madden or something like that. Like take that and do it. And you saw, if you guys look through the tweet history, Rex pointed that out. Like him and John White was looking at the blueprint he had and everything. They took it into consideration. But once again, those guys don't call the shots. You see what I'm saying? That stuff's got that whole demeanor has got to change. You got to cut the head off that snake, man. That can't keep going because it don't work. You know what I'm saying? And it's like things will get to a tipping point where if you don't do it, there's got to be some kind of negative effect. There's got to be a negative impact of some sort. So I'm sorry. Like I want to see these guys step up and do some amazing things that I know these guys can really do. But to see the fact that, you know, you have other games, guys up here seeing guys online, man, I'll pay $15, $20. Man, I'll pay the money to get what Deuce Douglas got. No, skip that. I ain't paying for that. Look what 2K doing for free. You know what I'm saying? And you could talk about people, I see people in the MLB crowd talk about how MLB The Show's franchise mode has been stagnant. FIFA's franchise mode, their career mode or whatever is stagnant. They have so much more depth in those modes compared to Madden. It's not even funny. So I would take any of those over what we got in Madden right now. And it's amazing what those guys have, because even if they lack in those areas, they still have really good gameplay. Even with the flaws, really good gameplay. Individuality is showcased and all that, which should really matter in a franchise mode, especially. We should see individuality. There is none of that we've seen. I'm gonna get into this beta, this beta and everything whenever, I'm able to or whatever. I'm focused on this show right now. But the point is that I'm telling you, if I don't see real individuality, that's going to be a problem. It shouldn't just be badges and superstar stuff that makes players different. Way players animate, way players run, the way players engage on the O&D line, the way receivers run routes, the way they go, you know what I mean? Like there's differences between Jerry Rice and Randy Moss and Calvin Johnson. They shouldn't all be just slapped into one category. Like, no, they're not all the same. It shouldn't be like that. How come All Pro Football was able to give us something like that, but we don't have that in Madden. A 2007 production could do it, but we can't get that here? Like, are you kidding me? And that's bullcrap. You know what I'm saying? That's why I hate they signed that exclusive license. But because of that, all this rage is justified. You earned it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, EA they've been earned it. Like, they earned it a long, long time ago. But now it's truly justified. Because now we know the terms of the deal. We know how long you got it. So it's like, oh, so every year you don't deliver, and when you're not delivering, all the flames you get is fully justified. So you can't sit up here, I can't believe they talking bad about us like that, man. They need to chill. No, you earned it. You said simulation football. You said you guys are the only ones that can give simulation football to us. So that's what do it. Like, simple and plain, do it. I don't give a care about what you got going on and the hardships. At some point, that all goes away, and you gotta deliver the product, man, for real. So I'm gonna stop so someone else can go, but I'm just saying, man, we can't keep, this merry-go-round thing can't keep going on, because real talk, you got cats that are straight up gonna be on that, man. Yo, that 2K21 looking real fierce. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna mess around and go over there and start up my league. Because remember, like Sim pointed it out in his 20-minute video, I think he did. He talked about 2K. But just recently, I think it was either this one or 2K19, they finally got my league online, where they have all the offline stuff is in their online package. So if y'all ain't gonna do it, okay, go over there. Y'all can you guys get that dose of act right, then we could really do something. I'm sorry, man. Like, you guys don't think you that hot. You ain't that dang on hot to think that you just ain't got to do nothing. That's why Live got put to pasture. You did that whole cheaper to keeper bull crap, and you thought that crap was gonna work with Live up against 2K. Nah. That's why I wish 2K did have that shot, man. Be probably calling a rap on EA right now if that was the case, man. Like, come on, y'all got to come with it, man. Seriously. We're consumers at the end of the day. Like, you can't be playing people left and right and just think that it's going to be okay. That's why, even though W trying to stir the pot, that's why he would get flamed. Because this is like, folk are being disrespected left and right. People that have leagues and stuff like Kia been in and other people been in for a long time, years and years. And it's like, I'm just buying a game because I want to keep this league going. Like, they shouldn't be that. They should be enjoying the product they get and just enjoying it flat out. You guys are responsible for that. EA wouldn't be where they were if they didn't give us the stellar franchise mode. Because remember, you guys didn't have no post-purchase transactions back on PS2 and Xbox, where you really rose to prominence at. There was no Ultimate Team money to get. So do the justice and serve it properly and do what you're supposed to do and give us the game we deserve, flat out. But go ahead, Sim, man. Sorry about that, y'all.
Yo, I wish everybody in the chat could see the conversation we have in Zoom, because I basically said it's a bunch of us. I was like, yo, we gonna have to move.
Sim,
I'm like, Smitty,
Sim,
go on.
Sim. Hey, hold on. Sim.
What happened?
Sim.
What happened? Yeah.
Hold on. Sim, I literally had to text this man on his personal phone.
Yo, Smitty going ham. But look, what he said was great. So we got it out. So the only thing I'll say is, I'm going to try myself as well to be short, even moderating, because we got a lot of us in here and I want to get everybody a chance to really say what they have to say. But let's throw it to AZ, then I'll give my piece, and then we'll come back to Bills, and then we'll rock it to another topic. What you got, Azure?
Oh man, now that Smitty Sharp has ended his rant today,
Skip.
I would be short, man. But honestly, who are Madden's competitors? NBA 2K. There's no other football game out there that's on their level. So they compete against 2K. And back when Rex Dixon was creative director, he was like to challenge them or like to go at them, challenge them to create a football game. And they will create one. I don't know. It's probably going to be like some superstar knockout type game. I don't know. Who knows what they've come up with, but some playgrounds, NFL. But 2K is their competition. They are failing to live up to that competition. You have indie developers, Maxim Football, Axis Football, who are improving greatly without the resources. Without the resources that EA has. So it's like once you become a cog in the machine, no offense to anybody who's gone and worked at EA, you just kind of become a little sheep in the line. You fall in where you're supposed to. You don't make any stir about it. And I watch, if you all get a chance, check out Patriot Act on Netflix. There's a episode where Hassan Minaj talks about the Me Too community in the gaming industry. But I wanted to bring that up to say that he talks about what they call crunch. And we witnessed this in video game development, that there's a time called crunch where you're not getting paid for your overtime and you basically are expected to be at the studio. And we've seen this from times we went down to EA of people who just been like, I slept here, or I got like 2-3 hours and I'm back here in the next day. And where is the franchise of that? We don't have anything that we've asked for. They have a Rolodex of features. Sat us down in the room and said, we can't get to that this year. This will take 1,800 plus man hours to do. We can't do this. This user interface costs this much money. And I don't ever want to hear about money when it comes to EA. So that was the wrong thing to say. But they have the tools. They're just not allowed to use them. They don't have the time to do them. And it's sad because we get the short end of the stick. And 2K is not blameless. If you go on my Twitter profile, you'll see today, they trying to money grab you for this Legend Kobe edition upgrade. So you watch the red tape when you're pre-ordering these games because they're trying to get you on that too. Your stuff does not carry over to next gen. So you have to be very careful. So 2K is not blameless. But I'm just saying, like, their competition is 2K and they are failing to live up to that competition in terms of, like, my league just blows whatever they have out the water, period. So I'll pass it on, man.
That's an interesting point too, man. See, Madden, and I hate to even throw them a bone, but it's funny, like, Madden always finds a sneaky way to have a one-up. So, like, that's going to be their one-up this year, is that you can get the game for free. Which they, you know how I always say, developers be knowing, they know what the industry is doing. They probably caught wind of that. And that's why they're going to hit you with the dual and type. See, they not slick. They not slick. But let me just say my quick piece so we can throw it to Bills. I'm going to keep it really, really quick, man. And I promise that, listen, I know Sean Grady. Know him well. Smitty and I, Azure, we know them guys very well. I've heard that he's high up on the food chain. I haven't confirmed that yet. Mole, if one of you guys, you want to send me a message, maybe offline and confirm that just for my own knowledge, it'd be great. But here's the thing. Remember when I used to tell you guys that I had an executive look me in the face and tell me that they weren't going to change something or they were going to improve something? It wasn't Sean Grady. It was Roy Harvey. I don't think Roy Harvey is there anymore, but Smitty and Azure know who he is and where he was as far as on the ranking.
He's the Patriots coach in all the games.
There you go. So it's kind of like, and I sent Sean a message too. Listen, man, it's, I respect you and all of that. He's always been good and fair to me. I always joke with him. I always call, this is just a sidebar, I always call him Doogie Howser because he looks like Neil Patrick Harris to me. Lip service only goes so far. It's not that I don't believe you, but I've heard this story. So it's just like Smitty said. I told him in my message too, look, man, I appreciate what you said, but we got to see action. Point blank, period. And what's interesting, I know everybody on the panel here paid attention to this. He talked about what they were going to be doing for Madden 21. He didn't say going forward. He talked about the impact that they're going to try to do for the current title. That is interesting. Does that mean, continuous development? And some people would say, well, don't expect anything big. Well, if I recall it, Superstar KO came during a cycle. So it is possible to do certain things. Other than that, man, I think what I want to say about how I feel about franchise, we're gonna catch that in this next round. Because just to give everybody a heads up, I'm gonna ask everybody what can be done to fix franchise mode, and we're gonna give everybody a chance to talk on that. So I'll go a little deeper when I get there. As far as W, man, it's like I said my piece, and listen, if it came off harsh, it is what it is. I don't take back anything I say or do, but I mean that, and it's no disrespect to him, but it's like, dog, it's like you going out of your way to say something. This ain't even your crowd. It's the same thing I say about, little sidebar, same thing I say to people that beef over consoles or beef over the iPhone versus Samsung, right? I have an iPhone. You don't never see me jump into a conversation on a Samsung or a Google Pixel forum, and for what? I'm doing what I'm doing. If I'm not even, I don't even have the phone, why am I jumping all over there, all in that business? And that's what I would say to W. If you feel the way you feel about franchise, then why are you going out of your way to slight it? That's corny. That's corny behavior. And I stand by that. That is corny. We don't need that. Not at this moment. And listen, I have nothing but respect for you as a person because I don't know you like that. It ain't no beef. But I'm just saying, I've gone to bat for guys like you. Defended y'all. And then here you come. And again, like NYKia said, I'm cool with a lot of those guys, like Problem, Skimbo, those my dudes. Even Serious Mo. Got a chance to meet these guys. They good people. And others, and shout outs to guys like Relly. Everybody knows Relly. But I just feel like, come on, W. Like, real recognize real, and real dudes gonna always check people when they need to be checked. Like, come on, that's out of pocket. We don't even need that. So just chill with that. But anyway, let's throw it to Bills, man. I want Bills to get his point across because he said he's got his mic sounding better now. So you guys deserve to hear what he said, and then we'll go into the next pass. What you got,
all right,
Bills?
can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Everybody can hear me.
Yep.
All right. So here's what I'll say about W first off. W's not qualified to talk about how good or not good franchise is because he doesn't play it, quite frankly. He admitted it in his own tweet. He literally plays Mutt, and he said that he thinks Mutt is far better than franchise. In the same breath, he also said that he thinks franchise is in a good place. So that tells me right away that he's not qualified to speak on franchise. Because if you think the franchise is in a good place right now, then you're delusional. So for him to talk about the fact that we don't want to compete, I mean, I'll tell you what's not competing is paying for your team and going on Mutt. That's not competing. Paying for your team is not competing. Now, as far as the apology is concerned, Sean Grady was basically just a necessary casualty. He was just the figurehead of this particular apology that they wanted to put out. And quite frankly, it wasn't really an apology. It was more so just a backhanded excuse. They talked about COVID. They threw everything out. Then they say that, basically they're not ready to reveal what they've been working on. But y'all haven't been working on nothing because it would have been in the blog if y'all were working on it. Y'all might be working on something now after we flamed y'all, but you weren't working on it before. And that was clear as day. So, yeah, that's basically what I have to say is we're going to talk about solutions here in a second. But, I mean, we shouldn't have to tell them what to put in a franchise mode. It shouldn't take Kerryon Johnson, a running back from the Lions that's in the NFL, flaming them about their franchise mode. That's an NFL player with a blue check mark. Y'all take those seriously. He's checking y'all right now. So that's all I have to say, man. They need to shape up. It's that simple.
It's that simple, man. And I will say this before we get into the next round. I see some people saying, and we all agree, by the way, this is PR. They throw the bait out, too, at the same time to kind of... you know what? I'm not mad at that from a business. That, of course you're going to do that. So sometimes you got to separate your emotion from business. I recognize the business game. But now you just got to prove it. Like Smitty and everybody else has said. Now, Sean Grady, y'all got to show us what you're really about. But, of course, that's a genius move to throw the bait out, try to silence the noise. I mean, why wouldn't you do that when you backed up against the wall? So that part, to me, is irrelevant. I'm not going to stick to that and say, oh, that's the only reason why they did it. regardless, they still need to show and improve, and we still got to get at them about this lack of franchise. So bringing it all the way back around, I want to say VF was the first one who went, so we'll come to him first. This time around, man, I want to hear. Let's do it 2 parts for each person. I want to hear what type of things do you think they need to do to fix franchise mode. And then I'm going to borrow from something I saw earlier, and I can't remember who sent it to us, but they had an idea about putting a list together of what might can happen this year. So that's the 2-part question for everybody.
That was me.
That was you. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember who sent it, man. So many people sending stuff. Y'all know how Twitter is. You get lost in the mentions and all of that. So let's dive into that. So VF, what type of things will fix franchise from a business standpoint, et cetera, and what do you think they might be able to move on as early as this year?
I had to unmute myself. When it comes to franchise from a business standpoint, all you have to do is satisfy the customer. Your business is going to come. So therefore, we basically just need, more immersion, more stat tracking. I'm not saying that the stats not there, but they need to be more in your face. When you're looking at information for your teams, it needs to be more accessible, because some things that are in Madden 20 that you just can't find unless if you go through 3 or 4 different pages. Also, with that information, it has to reflect the performance on the field. In other words, whatever the differentiation of players has to show based on this person got a bunch of yards, or this person can throw for this many yards, or this person was more efficient because the players were better. I think that's one thing that we don't see for the most part, because when you do free agencies, that's another thing. When you do free agencies, or when you do like basic drafts, in some cases you don't really get that immersion of feel that you get in someone different, or you don't feel, like outside of speed, you don't really feel like you're getting anything that's different. So it has to be more differentiation of players, and you got to have a reason. Hold on a second. You got to have a reason to draft certain players. So more of an immersion when it comes to those type of things have to show up. Also, you need to just have a better presentation. Like you said, well, I think it's Deuce Douglas or whatever. He has a phenomenal UI. His UI is phenomenal. His user interface is phenomenal. What he put out there, it makes you feel like not only that you're you're owner of a team, you also feel like you're in the league as far as looking at it from the outside looking in while you're still on the inside. I think that's one of the things where you saw with older Maddens, like with the Tony Bruno show. You still felt like you were the owner, but you still looked at it from an outside perspective when that show came on. Or like with different things when you had to scout certain players. Like the scouting is okay, but it's not as immersive as it used to be, where you can actually have a backdrop or a history on a player. It's just not, it's not there like it used to be. I could be wrong because I haven't played franchise that long to really see it, but they do say they have certain story modes, but I don't really, I never really caught on to them, so I don't know. I just want my players to just circle around football and nothing else. I don't really need the extra stuff. But I think just basically from a business standpoint, if you just give people the feeling that they're owning the team, I think Xpert said it earlier, it's like when you feel like you're building a team and you feel something behind it, the players are going to be there and you're going to make money off of it because more people will play the game and want to buy the game. And another thing, like when more people play it, the more word of mouth get out. And when the word of mouth get out, people who don't normally buy the game will buy it. So I think it in many folds, it will help. So I think DJ also did, he simulated NBA 2K years down the line where they did a lot of things throughout the years, like changing rules, players moved on to do different things, players got different contracts. So, it was just different. It felt like it was a organic experience throughout the way while he simmed through it. He put a timeline on Twitter, and the timeline on Twitter basically felt like I was immersed in it just by watching what he did on NBA 2K. And if that's the case, can you imagine what it would be like if you actually played the game? So it just, like I said, basically, like you said, from a business standpoint, The more people play it, the more people will buy it because the word of mouth will be bigger. It doesn't necessarily have to be monetization all the time. That's one of the reasons why Madden grew from the beginning, from the Super Nintendo days, the Genesis days. Madden grew because more people continue to buy it because of the word of mouth, not necessarily because you have a credit card. So it's just basic stuff, man. Just basic stuff that they can do, and we just get left out in the cold.
Pretty much. DJ, what you got to add to that, man?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I sent a link to that thread. So anybody wants to check that out, they can. It was a crazy thread at that. So I would say first and foremost, a huge apology, a real apology needs to be said. And that definitely needs to be followed up with some action because they've left this mode barren. I feel like with Madden, the last time I really enjoyed a franchise mode was Madden 12. I actually have an old video from way back in 2011 showcasing what you saw in that franchise mode. So definitely more immersion is needed right out the gate. I did have a list of things that right off the back that they can use. And Expert Corner, you said this earlier. That's why I started going like this a little bit because it took right from NHL and having NHL 20, which by the way I got for free with my own the mascot giving away the game. The first thing I would bring up is Fog of War. Definitely simulates what a real general manager, what real scouts had to go through to discover how players are really. And all this is dependent upon whether your scouts have a top rating. If they have a below standard rating, then you're probably not going to get the best stats that you could get if you were to hire. And you had different slots where different scouts were, where you can hire different scouts, but you also had a separate budget for that. Then that would lead to coaching carousel, which I enjoy very much. And with that coaching carousel, you have coaches, different personalities. Built in within all that, you have how the players feel about the coach, how the coach feels about the player's performance, their strategy, their system that they have in place that's tied into whether the players either match that system or they don't match that system. So it gives you an idea whether you want to keep players, trade players, maybe draft a player for your system, maybe fire the head coach. Who knows? Maybe bring one up from the AHL because you also have that staff for your AHL team. Let's see. Third, I'm looking at wear and tear system. Now, I brought this up on my channel years ago too. They had to explain how these injuries are occurring. You can't just have throughout a season have players just go down just randomly. You don't know why. You don't know if you overuse them. Because understanding the NFL today, you don't have those running backs that rush for 25 plus carries anymore. They rush for up to 20, maybe less than that. And a lot of times they share carries with other backs. So it kind of reminds me of NBA 2K's My League. They have a wear and tear system where as the season goes on, parts of the body like the shoulder, neck, back, ankle, knees, arms, all that starts highlighting up in red as you use the player over time. And you have to monitor whether these players need a rest, whether this goes into training to where you can relax their training. It goes deep, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. What was another one I was looking at? Ace. Yes, I brought up Ace. That's also in 2K. That goes along with how each coach has a different system that you have to go against, and which makes scouting each team that you play a more immersive experience because you know that, if you played them the first time, you're going to get a certain gameplay. You're going to get a certain strategy, but knowing if you see them again, especially like early in the season, late in the season, if you have to play them in a best of 7 series, the strategy is going to probably change either per timeout, per run down the court, or per game. Who knows? You just have to scout ahead of time to be able to figure that out. And then last but not least, I've been crying about this one for a long time. That's calendar-based scheduling, especially in football. The way ESPN 2K5 had it, they had it in a way that you could figure out your training schedule throughout the week. It was based on 40 hours a week, so just like a regular work week. You had to plan that out based on, the 40-hour work week. Players could possibly get hurt during the week. You could take a day off. You can do all sorts of things. So I think all that just leads to we need more immersion, and we need it now, we needed it yesterday. So that's what I got.
Great stuff, man. DJ is definitely right on the same page with me. Oh, hold on. There we go.
Damn, you muted.
Sorry, guys.
There you go.
There we go. I just said great stuff, man. DJ is right there on the same page with me, referencing my league, which a lot of us do, but talking about it, man, the wear and tear. I mean, how many years have we talked about that? And head coach 09 had it. What do you know? Moving along, I think now we're back in order with Bills, I believe. Then we'll go to NY Kia. So Bills.
You don't want to go Kia and then.
Oh yeah, either way. If Kia want to go now,
I'll go.
Let Kia go because I just talked. So.
All right, yeah, go ahead, Kia.
Ooh, that was a lot. I'm sitting here waiting for the beta to download, and you know how I'm going to roll. I'm going to just dissect that thing to death, X's and O's wise. I'm going to piece the thing up. What's unfortunate is they have a lot of good gameplay ideas that could do a lot of good as far as advancing the game from that perspective. But from a franchise mode perspective, and even in a all user franchise mode, there has to be life to all of this. Even in a user's franchise mode, it's on us to create the camaraderie and to create the ambiance and to create the personality of the league. There has to be a feeling that you're impacting the world that you're creating. And a couple of people have brought up NHL and NFL head coach. You don't got to go that far back. NCAA 14. I've been featuring that game a lot recently, and I'm making a concerted effort to focus on offline gaming this weekend. In the spirit of this movement and whatnot. And I've been posting NHL again, NCAA games on my channel. And in NCAA, there are real tangible consequences for winning and losing. What you do impacts the environment around you. As you win games, your program's prestige and your coaching prestige goes up, and that impacts your ability to attract recruits. That increases your coaching perks, that increases your ability to impact the team. All of that is what we need in order to have a dynamic world that we feel like that we're a part of. In NCAA 14, as coaches move around and retire and coordinators change schools and change conferences, it changes the environment. Depending on coach movement, you can see a conference completely transform its identity. The Big 12 can become a defensive league. The SEC can become a conference that has a bunch of spread no huddle teams. It's depending on what coaches move. Things like that. We need to have that type of impact on our surroundings. Game day environment. Road games in NCAA are no joke. The crowd noise impacts how your players perform. They impact how you as a user can see the routes. That kind of environment is non-existent in Madden. Playing in Seattle is no different than playing in Cleveland, which is no different than playing in New York. All of that just leads to a real vanilla, stale experience. So just having the ability to have that type of personality be a part of the experience. DJ brought up scouting. Same thing with recruiting. When you're recruiting and you're setting up your board, you see that 5-star recruit, you offer him, you scout him, he may turn out to be a dog. Same thing with that 3-star guy who you just kind of threw on your board as an afterthought. You offer him, You're like, he doesn't look that impressive. You scout him, and he's better than the 5-star. That happens all the time in college. The blue chip guys, many of them you don't hear from ever again. They don't pan out. The diamonds in the rough, they develop. And same thing with schools. You have your schools like UCF that emerge from, the mid-major status to Power 5. That happens in NCAA as well. Programs fall off, programs rise. There's a dynamic life to that game. And that's what's missing in Madden. Madden is too sterile once you're off the field. There's nothing really to connect you to it, and there's nothing really to keep you drawn in. While in NCAA, you feel a vested interest in what's going on. One of the people who follow my channel who viewed the game I posted today, he said that, you know what, I'm really drawn into this game. I was playing with Tennessee, and he's a Tennessee fan, and just the environment and the back and forth of the game, the ebbs and flows, it kept him sucked in. That you don't really have in Madden unless you create it externally, So and that's a shame. So the game just needs a whole lot of pop in that area, as far as just having personality, ambiance, and just feeling connected to a living, breathing environment.
Well said, man. You're right. NCAA, I've been playing it recently. I'm one of those people, really quick before we throw it to Bills, kicking myself in the butt, man. Y'all know the story. I gave away my prior gen consoles. It was for a good purpose, but now I don't have them, and I'm only able to play NCAA on the PC, which it works, but you get a little bit of stutter here and there, but I can't get the audio. Nobody has shown me, like everybody is saying, yeah, the audio is kind of crappy, and that's one of the biggest parts I love about NCAA is the atmosphere. So I'm either gonna have to bite the bullet and get a older gen console at some point and pay the price for NCAA again, or hopefully the PS5 will be backwards compatible. We'll see. But I agree with everything Kia said there, man. We just need that stuff. We need that stuff. Bills, what you got, man? And after that, we're gonna come to X.
All right. There are a lot of things that we can go over for long term that have needed to be in for years. Definitely, I'm gonna focus more so on things that they can put in right away, because quite frankly, there are a lot of things that should already be in that I feel like wouldn't take much. Smitty mentioned this yesterday. Mass subs in preseason. How long has this been an issue? You have starting linebackers in on third down in the third quarter. It makes no sense. You have running backs that end up playing deep into the game. Quarterbacks, basically they only play two of their quarterbacks in a given preseason game, to the point where you can't really assess what the other team's doing. You can barely assess what your team's really doing. Mass subs in preseason is definitely something that needs to be in. Dynamic AI for coaching decisions based on performance and scheme. That means position battles. So, I'm tired of playing a team that has a clearly underperforming quarterback, and then you get to, like, let's say it's a division rival, and you get to play them again later in the season. He's still starting, and his rating is tanked so far down. It's just like they don't really realize how much they're hurting their team according to who they're starting. And it's really never based on scheme either. It doesn't make any sense half the time, some of the moves that they make as far as who they start. Weekly injury designations. How long have we needed this? Probable, questionable, things like that. We've needed that for a long time. That's part of scouting. You guys just talked about scouting. That's part of scouting. If you don't know whether the guy's going to play that week, you have to know to focus your game plan around. The issue is there's no need for a game plan in Madden because every team plays you the exact same. Hot and cold streaks, they took this out. Now your team could be on a roll, it won't matter. Your team could be just garbage, it won't matter. There are no type of, I'm moving to the next one to just couple that with negative effects from missing goals, wrong choices to scenarios, and overall bad play for your team. I mean, come on. You have the scenario engine, and it doesn't really matter whether you pick the wrong choice. The guy can come and say, hey, I need the ball more. And you say, hey, go F off. That doesn't affect your team at all. The last thing I'll say is auto sub sliders must apply to the CPU. DJ's talked about this a lot. The issue you find when you start talking about stats is that you don't really have realistic stats for teams that use dual back systems, for teams that use their other receivers outside of just, their first three receivers. I mean, there are a lot of teams that use three tight ends and things like that. There are a lot of teams that use sub linebackers and all that sort of thing. and you can't really keep proper track of the stats when the auto subs are only applying for your team. So yeah, your backup running back is getting the 15 carries that you want him to get. But when you play against another team, they'll have a situation where, let's say, back when Jordan Howard was on the Bears, Jordan Howard would get a lot of carries, but then you look and you're like, well, why is Tariq Cohen not in the game at all? So those are some things that I feel like they could put in right away. There should be no excuse for any of those. I feel like all of those should make it into Madden 21. And I mean, like I said, we can go on for days about what they need to put in general. So that's my list.
Couldn't agree more, man. One thing I wanted to comment on before I forget, that you guys are saying most of everything I would say anyway. The mass subs. I mean, that's such a simple thing that's in NCAA. People know how much I cringe every year when I'm playing preseason and this specific situation happens. I run a 3-4 obviously with the Steelers. Okay, when the second team comes in, for whatever reason, one of your two middle linebackers never subs out. Never. You have to do that manually. What also happens because of the way the depth chart is and not having 90 men, et cetera, it's based off of overall. So who else do you see sometimes when they sub out? A linebacker at tight end. Just stuff like that. Minute things, man. Why don't we have the ability to mass sub second, third, fourth string? I don't get it. Xpert, man, what are your thoughts, brother?
There's so many good ideas like that we have been talking about for years and years. And you know, Bill's just like giving them like simple things to put in. Like before the game even starts, I should be like, hey, Jalen Smith for the Dallas Cowboys, don't even suit up. Just put your street clothes on, come in your flyer suit that you got because you're not doing nothing. You're going to sit out. I'll see you week 1. Same thing with Zeke, with Dak Prescott. You're not even playing in the preseason. I know what you're going to bring me, right? I should be able to do that without having to go on my depth chart. I got to take him all the way out the depth chart. I got to put the kicker above him so Dak can't sneak in the game behind my back. Just those are simple stuff. Listen, how about EA? How about I not play the same 4 preseason games every single season? How difficult is that for you to change it up so it's a different preseason schedule every single season? Those are simple things that we've been asking for. Give my commish total control. We've been asking for total control for commissions since I was able to get on the show. If a user violates a rule, my commish should be allowed to sit his quarterback. He shouldn't go to a user and say, hey, man, you got to sit, you got to sit Lamar Jackson this week. He got to have total control. We talked about the scouting. You used to be able to scout your opponent and go into the practice mode and practice against their scheme in the practice mode before the game started. So you knew what they were going to run. And it was that's the total immersion that we're talking about when you hear guys talk about total immersion, peeling the onion back to different layers. When I go and play the Atlanta Falcons, I get on the practice field. I should go against what the Atlanta Falcons are doing on their defense. That's what they would do in the real NFL. And so, when we talk about some of these things, those are the things that really infuriate us sometimes when I see a patch note that says, hey, guys, we gave y'all an extra wild card team for Madden 21. Be excited. No, that's the rule in the NFL. You a simulation football game. You had to put that in. Just like you had to change the overtime rules for Madden 20, you got to change the wild card rules for Madden 21. So if it's true simulation, when my scout goes to the college game and he's scouting a college player, he doesn't just go and say, okay, his zone coverage was a B- and his block shed was a C-. And because I got 340 scouting points, I can scout 25 players. Okay, you give me three letters, and that's what it is. And then I'll wait for the combine to come out. And then when the combine tells me that he ran a 4.340, everybody in the league wants him because his speed was up there. It's not a true combine to let me know, when I scouted him in college, was he aggressive on every play? Was he available? Was he a guy that understood the playbook? Does he understand how to play in the 3-4? Was he a 4-3 linebacker and he doesn't know how to play outside? Those are the things that we want to see in Madden. I know some of those are very difficult to do, but the thing that irritates me the most is I just want the ratings to matter. My 65 overall wide receiver should not be torching Byron Jones at corner. It just shouldn't happen. My 5'8" cornerback should not be stopping Julio Jones from catching the ball 99% of the time. Julio Jones is out jumping him. He's outrunning him. He's got better route running. But, man, we see it all the time. We see guys that have the lowest rated players all of a sudden look like Tom Brady at quarterback. And that's the stuff that we talk about all the time. The other thing is, take confidence out of the game right now. Please. I don't know who put confidence in, like, so your team has, these are professional athletes. Your team loses 2 games in a row. Let's just say you're in the toughest division possible and you got to play 3 of the hardest games on your schedule to start the year. Your confidence is screwed right from the beginning. It's over with. Your players now play even worse than what they were supposed to. And I don't understand confidence at all, and it needs to come out. But, you know, I just want EA to hire DJ. Everything that DJ said, wear and tear, oh my goodness. I don't understand how wear and tear is not in the game. Like, your running back is getting 25 carries every single game. He should not be the same running back at week 16 that he was at week 1. Period. He's not. You hear NFL guys talk about all the time about nicks and bruises, and everybody's feeling it here. It's week 15, man. We just trying to get through and get to the playoff. No. Zeke Elliott runs just as hard in week 17 as he did in week 1, and I feed him the rock like he's the only player on the team. And wear and tear is in other games. We see guys talked about Kia talked about NCAA. When you go to Kansas City and play in their stadium, in Madden, that doesn't make any difference. It's like there's no fans in the stands whatsoever. Your linemen don't jump. Your quarterback can audible like it's no big deal. Those are stuff in games that EA already put out. NHL 20 has a coaching carousel that if you don't hire the right scout, you are screwing your franchise. It is a wrap because you're not going to know if that guy can actually play or not because your scout isn't very good, so he doesn't know what kind of player that is. Those are the emergent things that we already see in other games that could just be put into Madden right now. I'm not asking for y'all to completely overhaul franchise because, like we talked about, the beta came out today, guys. Listen, we're not fixing to get an overhaul of franchise mode in the next 4 weeks. That's just not going to happen before Madden 21 drops. Now, we may see some changes 6 months from now that they could be working on, but there's some things that they could fix right now. Mass substitutions should be in the game on launch day. It automatic. It shouldn't be that difficult. Put mass substitution in right now. And those are the things. Make the preseason different every single year for franchise guys. Those are just simple things that EA could go in and take care of. And we've seen it in previous versions, and we just don't see it in the version anymore. But again, this is the part, and I want to stress this to the whole franchise community. This is the time now where we finally got EA's eyeballs and their ears right now that we can't go off of the deep end and say, I want these 500 things in the franchise mode, and every single franchise community has a different list that they want in the game. And we start attacking these developers because it's going to cause those guys to close their eyes and close their ears and say, look, see, we told y'all that we try to give y'all something and y'all can't come together and tell us the top 4 or 5 things that you want, or you ask us for the most ridiculous things. Well, we can't put that in the game. The game's already built. And all of a sudden, like we've seen before, franchise gets swept under the rug and they say, listen, we'll try for Madden 22. And we see it all the time. We see franchises all the time come out and they tag Clint and say, listen, Clint, you're the worst developer we've ever dealt with. You're horrible. Somebody needs to replace you. That's not the type of community that we need right now, because we finally got people to start looking at the franchise community like they should have done 10 years ago. Now is the time that we become civil. We come together as one group. You see all these guys on the screen. None of these guys are in the same franchise except for a couple. Like, all of us play in different franchises. We all want different things. But this is what we talk about when I talk about community all the time. Every show that I've been on, Smitty and Sim have been on my podcast, and it's one thing we talked about. If we could get this franchise community to come together, look what we can do. Yeah. If we come together. It's crazy what we are capable of doing when we come together. Because I saw a guy tweet earlier, he put a little comment on the beta thing, the shut the 300 franchise guys up. I don't really think people in this Madden community understand how deep this franchise community is. There are tens of thousands of guys playing the franchise mode. You don't believe me? Go into franchise on Madden 20 and search for a league. Just search. Don't put anything in the search engine. Just search and watch the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of leagues that pop up. Go on Facebook and look for a franchise. There are hundreds of people trying to fill franchises every single day because that's how many people play this mode. And so now we finally got their eyes and their ears. Now it's time for us to drive it home as a community together. All right, that's my rant. Appreciate it, Sim.
Nah, man, I agree with that. And let me apologize too for anybody who's gonna see this, might be watching now, and if you felt like I forgot certain people, there's so many people that I want to bring on. I mean, a lot of these guys, some kind of way we communicate very regularly. You know, DJ, Bills, and VF are always going to be right there, right there in the side of my mind because I know, they're pretty much doing the same thing. We've talked to these guys for years. We talk to Kia all the time. We talk to Xpert. So if I forgot somebody tonight, it's not that I forgot you. It's just we couldn't have with so many people. But I do want to bring on. I want to get the guys from. I got the shirt on. I wore this purposely tonight because they represent franchise as well. I want to get MBL involved. My guy at SGO, Kurt, definitely want to get you on. Sabo, man, we could do this again next week. It could become a community thing all the time. Let me preface it with this though, because I saw Neff made this comment. I want to say this really quick, and we'll throw it to Smitty. There's a such thing as a proper panel. Everybody is not going to get the same opportunity. I'm going to just be 100% real with y'all. It's kind of like sometimes you have to vet certain things and you're going to get what you want. I knew what I was going to get from these gentlemen tonight. It was no question when the idea came up, hey, yo, let's join forces. No question. So I got to be real with y'all. I'm not going to just bring everybody on just because and you want to sit here and rant and rave. We'll have a show for that where me and Smitty and Azure, or maybe me and Smitty if Azure can't make it, we'll let y'all call in on Blog Talk, have at it. But the panels, I will say, are going to be a little more selective. Brett Lee, I know he's in the chat. Want to get you on very soon too, possibly next week. This is a guy that used to work at EA. So certain people like that you can always expect are going to be panelists, all right? All right, Smitty, give us what you got, brother.
All right. DJ hit a lot of points, man, because NHL, what they did was amazing. And you got to remember, this is a few things. I will say this. It's not, I really don't have a list of things, but I'll just really say a few key points based off of what other guys have said here prior to me. The main thing here is that, yes, they can do updates and update and add things in because what was mentioned earlier, Superstar KO. Superstar KO was planned. That wasn't like out of nowhere, let's do this. That was a planned implementation. There's a huge difference between that and scrambling to try and just give us something and say, well, we put this together and we're going to give you this. And hopefully it works. I don't want that because that happened with NHL 15. People slammed on that game so hard because it was like their first game they came on to next gen with, and it was barren. And people complained because, well, they were cool with the gameplay, at least from what I saw from reviews and what people were saying. They were like, man, where's all the features? Where's all the depth? Everything you guys had. And that was all took out. And EA tried to patch those things in, and it was a complete cluster. You know what I mean? None of it worked well at all. And it was like, man, you guys might as well not have even done it because it didn't work. So I don't want to see those elements. I don't want to see EA do something unless it's something that is clean. Like if it truly is not going to work, then I'd rather them build for the next iteration and give us something a lot more wholesome with a lot more meat on the bone instead of just saying, all right, well, here's a little something that we can give you for now. Here's a little something to snack on. Like, don't give us that. But with that being said, my biggest thing, and this was when Madden 16 came out, limbs bending and all that stuff and everything happening in the game, the injury system, real-time injury system. You look at FIFA, players, the way they get impacted, force the momentum, things like that. Players go down and you see how the story unfolded. Why is he grabbing his leg? Why is he holding his head? How come he's holding his back? Oh, it's the way he fell. Oh, you see how he got hit? You know what I mean? You see it in Madden, and dudes just get right up, and then they just take a random 2-minute animation will occur, and it's like, oh well, now he's out with a collarbone fracture or something like that. But I'm like, but 2-3 plays ago, the way he got piled on, that should have been it right there. The way so and so's leg bent, the way his back contorted, all that, like it. We need that, and that was, like I said, and head coach 09. I want to see the managerial standpoint come into play. I don't know if anyone already mentioned that or not, but I mean, I know we've said this in the past, but I would love to. I mean, if there's anything that could be added, like injected into, I don't know, it may be too sophisticated, but what about if you draft a player and they don't want to come to your team? Or what if they have performance preferences, things like that, like player morale, like the scouted player's morale will go down if they come to your team. They'll play for you, but they won't really play as good as they can until you see them go elsewhere. For example, what's my man's name? Lakin Tomlinson. The Lions drafted him. He never performed well for us. He goes over to San Francisco. Now he's all of a sudden he knows how to block. You know what I'm saying? Like Riley Reef, same deal. It's like they come here, they don't perform nearly up to potential. They go elsewhere and all of a sudden know how to ball. Like adding diversity to that. And then you can have that off chance of a Eli Manning situation where it's like they just don't want to play for your franchise. Like having some wild cards in the draft system there, that would be sweet. I don't know if the EA can still leverage the official coaches license for like assistant coaches and coordinators and all that. But I mean, I would love to see that kind of stuff come back, along with players, Madden 04 material, players coming back out of retirement. Like, I don't know if it's something that could be coded to just be like, like I said, in terms of a right now kind of impact, if that's something they could bring players back by, they can retire and then in a few years' time, they can be a free agent head coach or a coordinator or something like that. Like, that would be sweet to see, have those kind of elements brought back into the fold. I just would rather them see more the smaller things that may not be as taxing as far as right now at this juncture. Unless it can be pulled off. I'd rather not see anything major, but on the major end of things, yeah, I want to see them blow the system all the way out. So I don't know. I think that's really all that I really have. Like, I really didn't have a whole lot in terms of actionable things, because my major concern is that, what would be something actionable they can do that won't possibly wreck anything? You know what I'm saying? Or will it even work well? Because of thinking back to NHL 15, like that did not go well at all. So hopefully they can do something simple that could add a little bit more mileage to get out, a little bit more tread. You can get out the tire, so to speak, for the moment. But then 22, boom, like start blowing it out the frame with what you're going to do. So, but that's all I really got.
Good stuff, Smitty. Good stuff, man. And again, guys, there's not a lot I need to say after everybody. I mean, we all agree with all of this stuff. Let me throw it to AZ, and before AZ jumps on, I'll just say, this show went very fast. So after that, I'll throw another small question around to wrap up the show. And we can continue this too, by the way, with all of us here. They don't just have to be tonight. I mean, we can it's much more to talk about. But let's get AZ's take, and then I'll give my small take. What you got, Azure?
Just some of the stuff that we've already touched on. I'm just going to give you some things that they could put in right now that will kind of, appease the franchise crowd, especially myself. The biggest one to me, and I talked to Rex about this when he was there, and that lets you know how long I've been asking for it. Previous tuner, being able to go back and play the previous tuner. We all loved the game July through October, albeit, the bugs and the stuff that they have to get out that's broken. But as from a football standpoint, besides the stuff that needs to be fixed, we like how the game plays in this stage. It's fresh, it's new. So I don't expect anybody to just downright hate it over 20. It's 21. So previous tuner. That way, when my franchise starts, I can play on July through August tuner. And when they start catering the casuals and bumping down the pass rush and nerfing kicks and all that kind of stuff that they love to do when people start crying about the game, I'm not affected in my franchise. Draft class disappearing. I talked to Swami about this. There's no NFL team that doesn't know in free agency who's in the draft class. Now, he says that it pops up during Super Bowl week. That's fine, but it never needs to disappear. No NFL, coach or scout loses his notes, goes into a meeting and says, I don't know where my notes are. I can't tell you who we should replace this person with. Draft class, not disappearing. Mass subs already been talked about. That's something that we've seen in NCAA. You can just bring that in because since we don't have the wear and tear system, I don't want to have my players hurt playing in a game to where I have playoff seeding wrapped up, or I feel like, it's not necessary to play this player like Xpert said in the preseason. And a lot of people ask for this. I don't really care too much about it, but team builder, being able to create your own team and logos and all that kind of stuff. People love to do customization. We've seen all the tools that Madden PC gets and how great it is to do college football, NCAA, and Madden team building. They have that tucked away still for NCAA. Now, I know one of the things we talked about was Josh Lumen. He owns the rights to, I guess it was called Online Franchise / Head Coach. So if he's no longer there, they can't use his software, UI, all that kind of stuff, unless he sells them the rights. So some of that stuff they would have to buy or purchase, depending on who designed it and if they have the rights to it. I was looking on Twitter, and this is going to be my last thing, and I'm going to pass it off. NBA 2K United, or whatever this is verified, says that 2K next gen is built from the ground up. We'll see, how that is, but in the past we've known how Madden has been ported. I haven't heard anything about Madden being built from the ground up for next gen. We'll wait and see, what happens with that. But the fact that 2K is putting out a game built from the ground up, they are missing the bar. 2K is your competition, and they are killing you. So they got to get together, man. It's so much. I don't know how they're going to. They need to. The NFL, I don't know how they went into that meeting and wowed them. They must have showed them monetary because this game should be so much better than it is. But that's all I got, man.
That is very interesting there, man. And yeah, that last part, you got me thinking about that. And I'm going to comment on that slightly when I throw it to you guys for the last comments that we have tonight. I'm going to hold that for a second. But let me say this about it, man. I'm not going to spend a lot of time at all because all of the gentlemen here did a great job. We all want all of these things as a collective, even though some of us may have said some things and others forgot to say some things. Everything that was said here tonight, we all want. So there's no need for me to go back through the list. And I would say this, like I've been telling the devs the last 3 years now, everything that Deuce Douglas put on that thread is stuff we've all talked about. Don't ask me for nothing else. Work on that list. I know you can't do it in a day. I know you can't do it in a year. You might can't do it in 3-4 years. But I need to see you start chipping off of that list each year. When you finish that, then come back and ask us what else we got. Because everything that we all talked about tonight is on that document, huge, beautiful document that he made. And even then some. So don't ask me again for no feedback. I have nothing to say. It's right there. All of that stuff.
3 years ago. I don't mean to cut you off, but that was 3 years ago. It could have been implemented by now.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I started to put a tweet out earlier. Imagine if they would have added the minimal, say 2 to 3 things of that list since it was, he put it out there. Where would we be? It's that simple. Y'all always talking about 3-year plans, and we would have gave you that. Go ahead, AZ.
I would go ahead and say this because right now I'm currently not purchasing it. But if they would have just given me commissioner tools, I would have been fine. Because what we have in our league is disputes that come up, and I need the tools to be able to, I hate to say police, but to do that in the league. Like, if I need to force everybody to play on SimCam on defense, or reset a game if it needs to already been played, or go in and fix rosters. I mean, you can do that, but it's kind of backloaded to how you do it. But I need full control. I need injury severity sliders, all that kind of stuff. Full commission control. I would have been on board if they would have just given me that. And we don't have that. Like, commissioners are so strung up, and Sim sees the complaints. He's a commissioner in the league too, and I know Xperts goes through all the pain. If you're a commissioner and you run a league, you have headaches because you kind of run with 31 other grown men most of the time who sometimes act like babies, and I have 3 kids, not 31, so I try my best not to get caught up in the mess, but when you run the league, you need the tools to be able to run that league, and they have not given it to us. If they would have just given us that, you would have had another purchase from me, bells and whistles aside.
Exactly, and I'll just hone in on that little small piece. It's too much for me to say what I want long term. We all know. I mean, what could they do this year? I think something like that should be doable. You should be able to give the commissioner the ability to lock down the league, force everybody to do the same thing, because as little as it sounds, Azure will tell you, we're always dealing with people in our league that keeps ball hawk on, we tell them to cut it off. Or they got helpers on, we tell them to cut it off, etc. Things like that. That's something you can do now. Dump multiple scenarios in the scenario engine and flesh it out just a bit more. Make it matter a little more. I don't know how you do that in a short amount of time, and maybe they did work on that, but at least, put the Band-Aid on like y'all always do for this year. Give us more scenarios. Make things like scouting really matter. Like, make it matter more. If I don't scout during the week, it's more of a hit. Other than that, man, I don't know what else they could do this year unless they are able to implement something else down the road. But Smitty knocked it out the park when he said, look, man, they planned on doing Superstar KO, or K, whatever you call that thing. So they probably already had that in the clip anyway. They just finished it during the cycle. So that's all I would say on that, man. Like I said, I don't need to rehash what everyone said. I fully agree. Y'all know where I stand. The main things that I really want going forward, biggest things for me, the wear and tear, progressive fatigue, robust scouting, something like NCA where there's pitch involved and weather and what's important to them, things like that. Roster management, front load, back load, options, extensions, those type of things. Those are like the 3 biggest things huge changes I would like to see. I mean, it's way more things. Y'all know that. But if we had those 3 things, I think we all are more, more satisfied with the way Madden's franchise would be. Because think about the scouting thing. If it was like that, we really got to compete with each other. It won't be Azure or myself or some of the other commissioners saying, all right, guys, we're going to do a blind advance on free agency so you can't snipe people. Come on now. That don't work like that in the NFL. So that's all I got on that. We're going to move on to this final topic, man, so we can get out of here. Primarily, we all family men. The wife says, hey, when you going to be done? Because we got to just sidebar. We got a couple things I have to do tonight. I'm getting a new floor put in tomorrow, so I got to move some furniture and et cetera. So y'all know how that go. The ladies say, let's get this done. Got to get it done. And most of us are waiting to play this daggone beta. So I'm just going to keep it real to see at least if the gameplay is real. So sticking with that theme, we're going to come to VF first, and we'll go down the list. Just according to what is being advertised of gameplay, let's just talk about this gen for now. Are you excited? And I know I use that term loosely, but are you a little bit excited by what it sounds like it would be, and you're optimistic or at least looking to see what the gameplay will be? Or what are your overall thoughts about the things that they said they've implemented for gameplay this year?
I mean, gameplay wise, I can't speak for everybody else, but I'm pretty sure some people will know. I've been playing these football games for almost over 30 years, man. I've been playing Madden since 88, 89. I like you said, you use it loosely. I mean, you use it loosely. It's nothing that excites me. My main thing, I just want whatever they put in. I just want it to work.
Yeah.
All those jukes, those moves, those broken tackles, they look great. I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm not downplaying it. It looks good, but it means nothing if it's like really canned animation type, or you have to do this, that, and the third to make those animations happen, or like they said, certain running backs going to have those animations. Come to find out, all the running backs have. Like once you see Derrick Henry running like Alvin Kamara, I don't need to see stuff like that. I just want it to work. And I mean, if we get that, I mean, I'm good. I mean, because the thing, we do this a lot on the podcast. We talk a lot about what we want in the game. At the end of the day, it's very simple. We just want, I know, I'm just very simple. I just want what's out there to work. If it works properly, differentiation of players, the addition of wear and tear, injuries, like those things need to just work. And if it works, I mean, I'll be satisfied. I'm very simple when it comes to it. It's a reason why I play NCAA 14 still along with NYK, because a lot of the stuff that we talk about in the game actually works. They don't do nothing dynamic. They don't do nothing extravagant. When you want a college game, they give you a college feel. I want the same thing with the NFL. The NFL, I want the NFL feel like Xpert was saying. You play in different areas, you want it to be different. It shouldn't be like basic. The crowd shouldn't be basic, or at least it shouldn't sound basic. NCAA, if you're not playing well in NCAA 14, you go to a team that has a losing record, you're going to have empty seats. Like simple stuff. It's nothing about necessarily that I'm like excited. I mean, a lot of people that are outside of our circle, they look at a trailer and will be like, oh, look at Todd Gurley do this. I'm like, well, okay, Todd Gurley did that. All right, I don't need to see such and such running back do the same thing. Because we've been doing this for a long time. We've been doing it, like I said, I've been doing it for almost 30 plus years, man. I just want simple stuff. Like what I want football. The jukes, the jumps, they had Saquon Barkley diving over somebody's back. Yeah, that looks good. But I don't want to see a lineman do that when they catch a scoop a fumble up. I don't want to see them doing that running for a touchdown. Them clips that come out like when the game first comes out, and then you see like linebackers doing unbelievable stuff when they play online and stuff. I just want simple, basic stuff that my players that are supposed to be an archetype of a scat back or a power back or a possession receiver or a speed receiver. I want them to play like that. So the flashy moments in the trailers look good. What they said in the gameplay sounds good. What I read, it reads good. But I don't need, I take the beta at face value. I'm not really worried about that. But when the game comes out, I don't, like I said, I definitely don't want to see Derrick Henry doing what Alvin Kamara do, and I don't want to see Alvin Kamara stiff arming people like Derrick Henry do. Just basic stuff. I don't want to see one of these real quick wide receivers, those small 5'9" wide receivers doing stuff that Julio Jones do or stuff like that. I don't want to see stuff like that. Just if it's gonna be different, like they say it is, let it be different. You give me that, I'm good. It's the reason why I played Madden 25 as well, because they had that type of stuff with running backs. But I'm just simple, man. Just simple.
DJ, what you got, man? Any thoughts about what's perceived to be the gameplay? I'm sure a lot of us will find out here soon, at least in the beta. And let me just say this too. I know some people are already saying that they feel like certain guys are OP and things like that. It's one small constellation, man. It is a beta. We know by now that's not the final. This is kind of giving us a glimpse, but I always wait until I get the full to kind of at least give my opinion. But what are your thoughts, man, based on what they're telling us?
Well, it sounds pretty good. I think the main things that I'm looking at, and I just wrote them down as you guys were talking. The first thing I'm looking for is the open field tackling. I want to know how the physics play out as far as that's concerned. I feel like they're reintroducing that because you could before line up people tackling wise with the strafe button to do like a form tackling. I feel like by them improving it, they've added more hit points or contact points. Just to do a little engineer talk. I'm not an engineer by any chance, but I do look into these things, and I feel like that having more contact points will give you more contextual type of results as far as the tackling is concerned. The coaching adjustment, zone drops, I'm definitely going to be looking at that. I feel like using the coaching adjustments from last year helped a lot as far as how certain players, like I played wide receiver. So adjusting what a wide receiver would do, because I don't switch so I don't use the button mechanics as far as I call them quick time events. My receivers were responding a whole lot better when I had them on, I think, aggressive as far as like short to medium, and had them on, I think, possession as far as deep. They played to the type of offense that I had. So I got better results there. And knowing that they override preset programming, that's going to be a thing I'm also going to look at as well. The overall physics with the QB releases while they're being hit, I know that's been a sore spot forever. So I definitely want to see how those play out. And the last thing I'm really looking at is the in-game adaptive AI. Smitty, You've heard me say this about adaptive AI, and we've reached that point where now I want to see Smitty. This has been quotable. I said this, I don't know how many years ago. Is everybody really ready for adaptive AI? I know I am. I've been ready for adaptive AI for quite some time. It's in NHL, so I don't know what folks will really start crying about, but it's not going to be an all-out. I feel like it's not going to be an all-out adaptive AI to start. I feel like they're starting with the linemen just to see how that goes before they expand it. I know there was probably mention of some other things, but I think the focus is going to be on that line play, these linemen remembering moves, the number of moves that rushers will have before it gets picked up. So I'm going to definitely take a close look at that. And that's it.
Man, agree with you on that adaptive AI and the way these pass rush moves are chained together. And I'll just get my little piece out of the way now so I don't have to hold anybody up. And the final thing I'm definitely looking at probably first, two-man interaction, DB and wideout interactions. Are we sucked into these things or no? Bills, what you got, man? Wait. Might as well go with Kia because we've been in the wrong order all night. So Kia, what you got? Then Bills.
First thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be testing every single coverage in the game. Man coverage, spot jump coverage, match zone coverage against 2x2 sets, against trips, against bunch, against tight, against empty. I want to see if the rules are being followed. I want to see how routes are being played. I want to see break on the ball. I want to see how all that is being played out. Then I'm going to tinker around with the zone drops. I want to see how that impacts how everyone else is playing, seeing how they're relating to their routes and gaining depth and width as you fiddle around with that. That's the first thing. Second thing I'll be paying attention to is how routes are being run. Are routes being run at 2 miles an hour with ankle weights on the receiver's feet? Is that still going on? Are they being collisioned into these drawn-out animations that they can't escape from? Is that still happening? Do receivers need abilities to get separation and catch the ball? I'm looking for balance as far as that is concerned. That's the big thing. Just balance, balance, balance. I want to see how the players are moving. User-controlled players, how they're moving. I've been just peeking at Twitter here and there, and I'm already seeing some grumblings about user control and not being able to buzz around the entire field. That worries me. I've liked damn near every beta I've played. I'm more concerned about how it's going to change. You know, outside of what I leave feedback-wise and what I want cleaned up, I've generally liked every beta. And the thing that bothers me about what Madden has become is that too many people are too afraid of things being difficult. The game has become too easy for people. I'm pretty good at the game, you know. Guys who play in CFM, we can compete. I promise you, there are guys who play in online leagues, online sim leagues that can hold their own in a competitive environment. I've been on ranked leaderboards before, you know. I know what I'm doing. And I play these guys, and they don't know how to play. If they can't run the ball, they can't make reads. And when they can't make reads, they get frustrated. They say, oh, match coverage is overpowered. The pass rush is overpowered. No, all you can do is run stretch, and all you can do is follow your little ebook. And if that's taken away from you, you have no answers. Not everybody can be good at the game. I'm sorry. I hate to be that guy. If you're not good at the game, take a step back and find another lane to swim in that you can compete in. You know, that kind of mentality has to go away. I'm more concerned with how the game is going to change 2, 3, 4 weeks after it's released. That's all I got.
Man, I couldn't say it any better than that. Most of us who've been in the beta feel the same way. We've liked the beta, and then what do you know? And if I heard Kia right, it sounds like the ability for people to not super linebacker all over the field and all of that, and DBs, is pissing some people off. We've seen this before. I hope they don't go back to appeasing those folks. Just my thoughts. Bills, what you got, man?
I don't have anything because, I mean, NYK and DJ basically took my points.
Yeah.
I mean, look, adaptive AI is obviously going to be a big one because they haven't really talked about it. So I'm really interested to see exactly what it's going to be, how deep it is as far as the play calling, what kind of coverage shows they come out in, whether they send guys in motion to see whether you're in man, things like that. You know, the lineman thing, they've talked about that, so that's going to be interesting to see how many moves certain guys start out with, and just kind of watch the war on the line and see how linemen adjust based on ratings and things of that nature, even though ratings are going to be blocked. Now, the big one is what NYQ was talking about. Last year in the beta, the pass rush was beautiful. The pass animations were beautiful. And guess what? For the first time ever, they didn't touch those basically all year. So that was pretty encouraging to me. I hope that this year, with all the running animations and the things that they're adding as far as how you can whiff on tackles and you can't just basically warp into position and hold the strafe button and just kind of, you know, let them run into your arms. I mean, that's kind of gone, it seems like. So with all that being said, I'm kind of taking a wait and see approach as far as launch day is concerned. Will this game make it to launch? the way we get it in the beta. Because we can enjoy the beta all we want. And yeah, once Sunday comes, guess what? It's not in our hands anymore. So come August, I want this game to be what it is in the beta. Don't submit to people who suck at the game. Don't submit to people who haven't barely been playing the game for an hour and are already making determinations about whether things work or not. It's been an hour. And you're playing the game and you're making determinations about what works and what doesn't work in the game. And quite frankly, you don't know. You don't know yet. So that's my biggest thing is, people need to really be careful about the feedback that they're giving, because we've seen in past years, hell, I mean, we didn't even get to see the game that y'all saw at EA Play, because they gave feedback and they whined and they complained and they moaned, and what happened? The game came out and y'all said it straight up. This ain't even the game we saw at EA Play. So my biggest response is talk to me in August. That's what I have to say.
Absolutely, man. The only small thing I will add to that, I'll keep saying this to the devs. Some of them might actually see this show tonight. Stop caving into each individual crowd, including ours, which in our case, we usually want more authenticity anyway. But just make fundamental football. It doesn't matter if you're a comp player or not. Just fundamentals. And make everybody adapt. Don't go changing it. No, I don't want to hear it, because I've already seen on Twitter, I won't call a name, but there's one of the comp guys that I always joke around with that's already saying, oh, I can't do. Don't do that. Just let it be. Xpert, what you got really quick?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head right there. Is like we have to make sure that EA understands when these people start whining and crying after 25 minutes or one game of the beta, that they can't do the same things that they did in Madden 20 or Madden 19. All of a sudden, they need to fix this game. And I think that's the thing that frustrates us the most. I mean, how many people did we see after the beta for Madden 20 come back and say, hey, man, how much would it cost for me to just get the beta back? Just let me play the beta the rest of the year. And that's the problem, is that because I can't run pinch buck 99% of the time and get to your quarterback before he can set up, the game is broken. And that's the thing that's the most frustrating, is that you have good gameplay, and then throughout the year, when patch number 26 comes out by November, all of a sudden it's a completely different game. And so I think one of the big things that I'm looking for in the beta is the tackling animations that they talked about. Pursuit angles are going to be key this year. Can I just take my running back and run him backwards 2 yards and outrun your linebacker and take off? If you're within a yard and you're diving to make a tackle, do you just crumble like your legs gave out on you, or do you actually finish the animation and tackle? I mean, they talked about that in the gameplay, that was going to be part of it. They talked about, running backs are different. The things that Saquon Barkley can do, Derrick Henry's not doing those things. Kamara's doing something different. He's coming out the backfield. He's catching the ball differently out the backfield than every other running back. Christian McCaffrey is going to be different. They're going to be, some individual style that we see in the game, and they talked about those would be in the game. Then the thing I love most is it's going to be true stick skills. Is that truly going to happen? Or is everybody going to be the same animation based and cater to those casual people? And that's why they put out 3 different modes in Madden. That's why there's an arcade, a simulation, and the competitive. Make those true to the thing. If you want to play that, Pokemon style game like we talk about, then put it on arcade and play that game. But make competition, competitive mode, and simulation mode different than that. And that's the thing that we're asking for. And that's what I'm gonna look for. And I'm just waiting on Kia. Like, when that dude gets a beta, like, I'm just waiting on the mad scientist gets in the lab, and I'm just waiting on his thoughts. Because like he talked about, he gonna open every single coverage. Does the free safety play cover 4 like he's supposed to? Or is he a dummy and play it like it's cover 3 and now the streak is completely wide open? And that's the thing that I want to see. Are DBs actually playing to the zone like they're supposed to? Did the zone, being able to adjust the zone coverage, is that truly going to help? If I got you in a hard flat, don't run with the streak. I want you in the hard flat. That's your responsibility. So, we always can count on Kia to completely dissect the game, and we'll know here in another 2 or 3 days truly how this beta looks. But just like everybody else said, we're gonna play the beta. I certainly hope it changes my thoughts of purchasing this game. If the gameplay is on point, man, and they can add 1 or 2 things for franchise, man, I'll be quiet and happy on Twitter and thank EA. But it's gonna come down to this gameplay and how it plays out, and do they keep it? Or, you talk about EA Play. The EA Play game I played last year was different than the beta. The beta was different than the game. The game is different now than it was ever before. It's an ever evolving game, and I got to relearn it 12 months out the year before I actually put it away and pick the next Madden up. So, yep, that's my thoughts. Appreciate everybody on the show, everybody in the chat. Love y'all. Make sure y'all support Sim and Smitty, the OGs of this community, man. Appreciate all the love y'all get these two guys. We'll keep on trucking as a franchise community. We appreciate y'all, and Sim and Smitty, appreciate y'all letting me jump on.
No doubt, man. And we'll wrap this thing up with Smitty, Azure, and myself, and we'll go ahead and say it now, so we can just close it on out after it's done. After that, we're gonna thank everybody for coming. I don't want this to be a one and done. Even if we hop on over and we'll do this thing with First and Framerates, or do it with Xpert. We need to do more of this. This was great tonight, so this doesn't have to be a one and done. We'll be looking to add more people next time. Thanks everybody for viewing. I thank all of my co-hosts here tonight, because it's truly that. It's not Sim and Azure and Smitty show. No, this is a co-host thing. So appreciate all of that. Smitty, Azure, and myself will give our quick thoughts on going into this gameplay, and then we'll be done. What you got, Smitty?
All right. So the key thing that I have is actually from a completely different perspective. Looking at the 2K thing and seeing how 2K, if you look at the price points and everything, that's kind of letting you know what the future of gaming is basically about to be. These games about to be $70. You know what I'm saying? So when you factor that into the equation, now don't get me wrong, we basically have been spoiled, because I felt back then that the prices of these games, as it went up from console to console, I figured these prices would have been gone up a long, long, long time ago. But the game's about to be 75, looking at Michigan taxes, at least, it's going to be around nearly $75 for a game. So if you going to hit, you have to hit. Because now you really ain't going to have that luxury of just loafing it. Because people will be like, man, this thing is $75. No, you got to bring it. And, as far as what I'm expecting, I'll just say this as far as Madden. I mean, on this generation here, I want to see how the player movement is. I dabbled in it a little bit while the show was going on, and I actually seen some nice plays here and there. But I'm not expecting this game to be a world beater game. Like, this is just going to all of a sudden just change the entire game and my whole outlook on Madden. I'm expecting to see some things. I'm expecting to be a cleaner Madden 20, hopefully. But like Azura said, we need a tuner, because like you're seeing on Twitter, I guarantee people are going to whine and complain about football legitimacy that happens in this beta. And they're going to be whining, I want to be able to do, just like what Sim said, comp guys, I want to be able to hummingbird all over the field, basically, and take away 5 routes with one player. Like, no, you can't, no. Like, there has to be football legitimacy in this. And this is, I hope this seriously pressures EA to deliver, because, like I said, not everybody pays attention to NBA 2K like that. Not everybody sees that $70 price point. So if they see that Madden, I mean, you see how they're promoting that cross play. Hey, get it on the 4 and we'll give it to you, the free upgrade on the 5 and all that. Yeah, because what happens after that? The next year. And you really just say, oh, we just did a little touch up. And it costs you an additional 10. I know it may not be a huge deal in some cases because you think about all the money and how much money people spend post-transaction, but you also got to look at it from the general standpoint of just the psychology of purchasing the game for $70, for $70+ bucks. Off rip for a standard edition, not getting anything extra with it. And and that's the pay, that's what you're paying. If this holds true for all games, 2K's doing it for their standard edition of 2K 21. So it wouldn't surprise me to see the same thing happen with Madden and these other games. So it's really gonna be vital that the quality of these games that they come out is really, really on point. So that's all. I'll just leave it with that. I feel that will put more pressure on the companies to have to step up, hopefully. So we'll see.
AZ, man, I already know where you're going, but sake of argument, what you looking for in this beta tonight, man?
Here's the beautiful thing about our community and just about having us being able to give feedback when we were able to. We would go down and be looking at all different things. Like, if let's just say this was the room, Kid would be looking at what he was be doing, Xpert builds, VF, Sim, but we all looking to improve franchise. I'm gonna tell you right now, as soon as I fire up that beta, I am going to search a game and play a person, because I don't care how the game plays offline. I'm not an offline gamer. I get bored with how the game plays against the computer. Maybe that's Madden's fault for not developing all Madden to be a chess match as opposed to making my players 25% and their players 75%. So I want to match wits against a human opponent. I tell Sim this all the time. This game does some wacky stuff when you get online and you have two people putting in inputs. How the two-man animations, are they gone? How do they play? How do they play out? How are the tackling animations? Like, it's so much stuff that happens wacky in this game when you play a person. So the first thing I'm doing is firing it up, looking for an opponent. Then I'll be able to tell how it plays. And even in that, like it was all been said before, we love the game and how it plays now. People can't play it. I dare people to play regular teams. People can't do it because they're handicapped from what? They're used to having super teams, souped up players that when they get a real team, they do not know how to play. So I'm going to play people. That's going to be pretty much my all my time. I will see what franchise has to offer, but if they're going to add something, that will be my purchase or not. Gameplay is king, as always. That's the only reason we go back and play old games. Our features are great, but gameplay is what took us back to All Pro Football 2K8. How the game plays. So gameplay, if it's smooth, I want to see how the pass rush moves are going to play out against a user. Is it ridiculously easy? Can you scam the AI on the O-line? Like, I want to play against a person to see how it is. If you play Madden against a person, you hike the ball to run the ball and do not touch the controller, your player will still run. I have a problem with that. Who's controlling my player? Why is it as soon as I hike the ball, you will run the play for me? Take the training wheels off. We have been saying this for I don't know how long. And 2K does it too. 2K lets people be reckless point guards who dribble the ball all over the court, run into situations, and because the ball is tethered, that ball does not come out. They let them shoot from all over the court, take bad shots, and hit them because of animations, abilities, badges, whatever. This has to stop. Or at least give us modes where we play more like the game is represented to be played. So I'm going to fire it up. I'm going to be looking for opponents. So if you out there, you listening, and you had a beta, you see my name, get ready.
Absolutely. That's where it's going to matter. Even when I play the CPU, man, I'm going to straight play against Patrick Mahomes right out the gate. I want the strength teams so I can see what's happening. Let me wrap this up really quick. I'm gonna throw something out there that I said on might have been last week's show or the show before that. But again, I said I was gonna stand on this ledge. And if I'm wrong, I'll go ahead and fall off the ledge on my own. But I have a sneaky feeling, a suspicion rather, that I don't want to overlook current gen, but I have a feeling that next level might actually be different. And I'm going to be very brief in saying why I feel this way. It's kind of what I said earlier in the show about the thing where EA probably knew what 2K was going to do, if it's true that you can't just go directly to the upgraded 2K, in the next level, and you're going to have to pay X amount of dollars, and it's not going to transfer, blah, blah, blah. So EA's move was, all right, we're going to do this dual entitlement. I feel the same way about the industry and them knowing what's going on. Again, I could be dead wrong, but I'm going to stand on the ledge in case I'm right. So I can laugh and say, I told y'all, but in my own heart, I don't really, really believe this, but I'm going to hope, like Cedric Entertainer said, I'm going to wish, we wish. And I'm going to hope that maybe they caught wind of what 2K is doing and building from the ground. Just maybe. EA has been doing that on the side. The only reason why I feel this way, guys, and we'll end it with this. There was some talk about something like that possibly happening years ago when they went to PS4. I remember bringing that up, like, yo, why don't y'all get started early? Because I always talk about, and Smitty Azure laughs at me about this all the time. I was one of the suckers who wasn't into the gaming, critiquing things like I am now, and seeing the forest from the tree, the trees from the forest, whatever that phrase is. Y'all know what I'm saying. And I fell for the 360 next gen thing. I bought it and thinking I was gonna have this wonderful game. I then got older and realized, oh, okay, I see what you did there. You're not gonna get me with going to PS4, right? So my idea to EA was like, look, next time y'all go to another gen, why don't y'all be working on, get the team big enough to work on that product 2 or 3 years before, even if, you don't have the software, the hardware to work on, you can have the plans and the basic stuff that you need to port or whatever. Build from the ground, and when you get the test kit, boom, you can already be working on that. What if they actually did it this time? I have a feeling. I don't know if I'm right. I hope I am, but I have a feeling this time around is going to be different, because especially now after this franchise debacle, not saying that they could just swiftly change it now, but I just don't think Andrew Wilson can afford another one of them Madden 25 letdowns, man, how he got on that stage and told us about the Ignite engine and how great. I don't think they can do that again. I think they're actually going to deliver, which also makes me think that current gen might just be what Smitty said, a better Madden 20, a fixed Madden 20 with better player control, etc. We'll see. That's just my suspicion. I don't know. I hope, but I'll end it with that. Again, guys, I got to get out of here. I would love to keep talking, but I have to get this furniture taken care of. I have to get on this beta. So I'm going to thank the panel. Fellas, appreciate everybody coming through. Let's do this again, wherever the platform is. Let's just keep this going, because I think we need to continue, like X said, to show the united front, man, with franchise, and get more and more of you guys that are in the chat, Shopmaster, guys like that, MBL, more of this, and just keep it in EA's face. And we did do it. Azure said it earlier. We kind of did it. We know it's propaganda to some degree, and they just give us some, but they said something. So now we're at a point where we can hold them accountable for real. So that's all I got, man. For everyone else on the show, make sure you check out Xpert and Xpert Corner. Everything he does on Facebook. Check out First and Framerates. Keep watching NY Kia's breakdowns and his videos in general, because they're very entertaining, and this guy's knowledge of football goes crazy. Sometimes I even have to say, yo, Kia, what exactly is supposed to happen here? I'm not ashamed to say that. By the way, Madden players, don't act like y'all all know football to the third degree. You don't. It's okay. So that's all I got. Love everybody. Appreciate y'all coming out. We're signing off. Catch y'all next week. Be safe. God bless. Good night. Peace.